Hi, I'm Nisha, and today I'm sharing my top 5 tips for how to make going vegan easy and vegan beginner mistakes to avoid. Before I get into these tips, I want to get a few things out of the way. One, I'm not a perfect vegan because there is no such thing as a perfect vegan. Like most people, I'm just trying to do my best to live a life that fits with my values and to inspire other people to eat more delicious vegan food. So these strategies aren't going to be a magical solution to becoming a perfect vegan, but they will help you if you are transitioning from a meat-eating or vegetarian diet to a vegan diet. And two, I'm not trying to force veganism on anybody. While I love being able to inspire people to become vegan, I certainly don't try to impose my lifestyle on anybody else, including my own family members. So if you're not vegan, don't worry about it. I'm not trying to pressure you to become vegan, but I do think this video will be helpful for you if you're trying to eat less meat or to eat more vegetables. And if you're curious about why I became vegan and some of the benefits as well as challenges that I experienced, you can find a video on my vegan story in the description box below. All right, all of that is out of the way now, so let's get right into tip number 1. When you start a new lifestyle, whether it's a diet, an exercise regime, or a new business, it's tempting to hit the ground running and expect perfection overnight. Trust me, as a type A ultra perfectionist, this is something I constantly struggle with. But expecting perfection when you become vegan will only set you up for failure. That's because you're human, and humans make mistakes. For instance, you'll forget to tell your restaurant server that you're vegan and they'll cook your vegetables in butter instead of olive oil. Or you'll develop an insane craving for dairy cheese during the first few weeks and literally not know what to do with yourself. Or you'll buy some crackers at the grocery store without looking at the label, only to realize later that they have animal products, even after you featured them in a YouTube video on vegan products. Trust me, I've done all of those things and more. The good news is you can bounce back from these mistakes and still stay on track with your new vegan lifestyle if you forgive yourself and don't go too hard on yourself. If you want to stay committed to a vegan lifestyle over the long run, you have to stop expecting perfection and give yourself a little breathing room because you deserve it. Mistakes will happen just like they happen at school or at work or in your relationships. And similarly, you'll learn from them and you'll move on. For instance, I now know to read labels more carefully at the grocery store before I buy products and feature them in vegan videos on YouTube. And you'll gradually learn to recognize which foods are naturally vegan versus which foods are surprisingly not. You'll learn which restaurants can accommodate your lifestyle and which can't. And finally, you'll learn to deal with those cravings for non-vegan foods and how to substitute them with delicious plant-based foods. When you become vegan, you might expect that you'll lose weight immediately. After all, you're not eating meat or dairy anymore, and you're eating a lot more vegetables, so shouldn't you lose weight instantly and have clearer skin, shinier hair, and more energy? You may very well experience weight loss and more energy as soon as you become vegan, but you may very well not. That's because everyone's body is different, and as with any new dietary change, it can take some time for your body to adjust to and adapt to new foods. Just like your body goes through a withdrawal phase when you suddenly quit coffee, you might experience a similar withdrawal phase and experience cravings for animal foods when you first become vegan. Or you might not be used to eating so many vegetables and you might get a little gassy during those first few weeks. Or you might experience more frequent hunger because you're not sure how to properly nourish your body. Plus, whether you lose weight or feel more energized will depend on a lot of other external factors, including your water weight, your hormonal makeup, your genetics, your metabolism, etc. But if you do stick to a whole foods, plant-based diet, where the majority of your diet is comprised of vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, seeds, and nuts, you will probably lose a little weight, experience more energy, have better skin, all of that good stuff. But if you don't lose those 5 pounds or have clear skin in the first few days, don't get discouraged because it takes a little time for your body to adapt. For instance, within the first 2 months, I noticed that my cholesterol had dropped over 20 points. And then within the first year and a half, my cholesterol had dropped 50 points. And the same with my IBS and chronic migraines. I used to suffer a lot from those, and it's not like I became vegan and the symptoms just magically disappeared overnight, but gradually over time I noticed that my symptoms were a lot better. So if you're transitioning to veganism, don't expect a 180 overnight, but give it a little time, a little patience, and a little forgiveness, as I mentioned in the first tip, and you will notice the results. If you want to achieve a goal or stick to a new lifestyle, studies show that you're more likely to succeed if you have a plan as to when, where, and how you'll execute on your goals. The same applies for when you first become vegan. Especially in the beginning, you're more likely to stick to your new lifestyle if you plan things out. Plan when you'll go to the grocery store, what you'll buy at the grocery store, when you'll do your meal prep, what you'll make for each meal throughout the week, what you'll bake if you have a sudden craving for dessert, and so on. For instance, if you fail to meal prep on Sunday night, you'll probably go to work or school the next day without a clue as to what you'll eat. And when 12 o'clock rolls around, you'll have to make a game time decision about what to eat, how much to eat, where to eat, including thinking about the fact that you might not have any vegan options in your area. The more decisions your brain has to make, the more likely it is to feel fatigued. This is referred to as decision fatigue in psychology. And when your brain suffers from decision fatigue, it's most likely to just default to the easiest decision, i.e. go to the cafeteria like you normally do and get a turkey sandwich, or go to the vending machine and buy a bag of potato chips. Planning ahead not only prevents decision fatigue from setting in, it also means that you're more likely to stick to a healthy vegan diet. When you plan out your meals and cook them at home, you have control over what goes into your food, so you're more likely to eat more whole foods and less processed foods than if you were to just dine out and eat whatever is available. Plus, cooking your meals at home and preparing snacks means that you'll always have something on hand when a craving strikes or whenever you're hungry, and that makes it less likely that you'll default to old habits like eating non-vegan foods. And unless you live in a major metropolitan area with tons of vegan food options, you're probably going to have to do a decent amount of cooking in order to stick to your vegan diet, so start getting comfortable in the kitchen. If you're looking for vegan meals that are quick, easy, and don't require that much cooking, I have lots of ideas on my YouTube channel, so be sure to check out some of those videos after this one. And if you're looking for some decadent vegan recipes that will satisfy your comfort food cravings, I have quite a bit of those on my blog as well, and I've linked to that in the description box below. Speaking of cooking, if you want to stick to a vegan diet, particularly a whole foods plant-based vegan diet, you'll need to restock your kitchen when you become vegan. When you initially go vegan, you'll be presented with a challenge. What do you do with all of the food in your house that's not vegan? One option is to simply toss it all in the trash. Of course, that's not really a realistic solution for many people. For one, with as many billions of pounds of food that is wasted each year, you might not feel comfortable throwing away so much food. Plus, you might live with other people, including family members or roommates, who aren't vegan and might not take kindly to you just throwing away all their food. So how do you live in a non-vegan world as a new vegan? Well, if you have control over certain foods in your house that are not vegan, you can just gather them up, put them in a bag, and donate them to a homeless shelter or a food pantry. Of course, in an ideal vegan world, nobody's eating animal products, even those in need, but we don't exactly live in an ideal world, so if you can donate old food that's not used, definitely do that instead of throwing it away. And if there's non-vegan food in your house that you don't have control over, i.e. food that belongs to someone else that you live with, think about your relationship to that food before you make a decision. If it's a food that no longer has any appeal for you, great, just continue living your life and don't worry about it. For me, that was meat and fish. I had been vegetarian for a few months before becoming vegan, so I really didn't care about the cans of tuna in my pantry that my partner still used. But if there are foods in your house that still tempt you during the early days, ask your family members or roommates to support you during your transition to veganism by either limiting their purchase of those kinds of foods while you get over the initial difficult period, or ask them to store those products out of your sight and out of your reach. And it's not all difficult work. Don't forget the fun part. You get to restock your entire pantry, kitchen, fridge, freezer, you name it. And if you love food as much as I do, that's a really exciting process. And it's 2018, so there are tons of delicious vegan options at most grocery stores, including vegan cheeses, ice creams, and sauces. Just don't forget all the other whole foods as well, like lentils and vegetables. If you're wondering what kinds of foods to stock in your new vegan kitchen, I have a series on my blog called My Vegan Pantry Essentials, which you can find in the description box below. And I also have a video on what I keep in my vegan freezer, which you can find right here. If you decide to become vegan because you want to lose weight and weight loss is your sole primary motivation, then you're probably not going to stick to your vegan diet for very long. You'll lose some weight, and then like with any diet, you'll probably revert to old eating habits at some point and possibly regain the weight. I'm not saying that eating a vegan diet just for weight loss is necessarily bad. Eating more plant-based foods is definitely a good thing regardless of your motivation. But if you want to stick to veganism and have it as a sustainable life choice for you in the long run, it helps to have another primary motivation besides weight loss. Having a more fundamental reason for becoming vegan shifts the equation from a diet to a lifestyle. Your fundamental reason might be ethical or moral because you don't want to cause harm to animals or support factory farming. Your motivation might be environmental because you don't want to contribute more to global warming. Or your motivation might be health focused. You want to live a longer life, a healthier life without chronic illness, and you want more energy. Or your motivation might be a combination of all of those reasons. The important point is that if you're able to tie your decision to going vegan to a fundamental part of your identity and to your values as a person, you're more likely to view veganism as a long-term lifestyle choice rather than a temporary diet. And you're more likely to feel good about your decision and to feel happy instead of feeling like veganism is a burden. So before you become vegan, really think about why you want to become vegan. Of course, weight loss can be one of your motivations or end goals, but you're more likely to succeed and to stick to your new lifestyle if one of your motivations is tied to your identity. If you're curious about why I became vegan, I've linked to some of the documentaries and books that inspired me to become vegan. I want to thank you so much for watching this video. I really enjoyed putting it together, so I hope you found something valuable in it and that you'll share it with your family and friends. If you have any suggestions for future video topics, let me know in the comments below, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!